and hijacking her night.
What is wrong with these people?
This is gonna rile some people up already. I can already tell. My sister, 29 female, got married last Saturday. The ceremony was beautiful and I enjoyed myself as much as someone who's famously not a wedding guy could. The dramatics were not quite as enjoyable. I, 27 male, hadn't seen my family in a few months, and we'd only had a handful of phone calls over the course of those months.
Hello?
It's never on purpose that I pull one of these disappearing acts. It's mostly out of habit. I've been fiercely independent for most of my life, and I get easily caught up in whatever I'm doing at the time that makes it hard for me to remember to keep those not in my direct line of sight in the loop.
Lone wolf.
My mother is the same way. It's also nice visiting around times when big events like this are going on, as my mom is prone to hovering whenever I'm home, and this takes some of the spotlight off of me. I had been in Ireland around 8 months prior to flying in last Thursday. I was originally there to spend 2 weeks with my best friend, who, thanks to the aforementioned one-track mindness I possess, I had unfortunately grown apart from within recent years. Ours was a friendship that had started since we were 14 and was one of the most important relationships in my life for over a decade, and I wanted to put more effort in so I didn't lose it. He was spending time overseas as to reconnect with his heritage since his father's passing. I was already traveling and my stay obviously turned out to be a lot longer than 2 weeks. It also turned into us getting married. Funny how life works out. Okay.
Tea?
About 2 weeks before our trip to the States for my sister's wedding, I sent out a mass email to close family letting them know that me and my husband were married. 2 weeks before? Really? Well, how long had you been engaged at that point? Did you have to do it right before the wedding? I wanted to assuage any possibility of us stealing any thunder right from the get-go. Well, you're kind of like announcing that right before and you never see your family. I don't know. I don't see this going well. My mom replied she was hurt she wasn't told sooner or allowed to be there, which I understood. It seemed her mood flipped by the time we met in person, however. Rehearsal dinner was on Friday, and that was when we all met up for the first time. My mom was overjoyed to see me and my partner and spent a large part of the night telling stories about how she always predicted there was something different about my relationship with him compared to others I was close with in high school. So your mother spent the large majority of your sister's wedding rehearsal night talking to you about your engagement? Okay. It was a very sweet moment, but at the end of the night, my sister pulled me aside and asked if we would not wear our wedding rings to her ceremony.
No.
I was confused, so I asked why. She said I was taking the attention off her, and she was already bitter that I hijacked her rehearsal dinner. More family might take notice if I wore my ring tomorrow and cause a similar incident. I refused. Like I mentioned before, the ceremony was beautiful, but she didn't speak to me for the rest of the weekend, and we ended up leaving the reception early. Am I the a-hole? You're not an a-hole for wearing a wedding ring to your sister's wedding. You're an a-hole for not telling your family sooner that you were engaged and left it to 2 weeks before the wedding to tell them. I can kind of understand where the bride is coming from. Like, if I had a wedding, I would not necessarily want everybody to be focused on the fact that someone else got engaged. What I want to know is, how long were you engaged, and why did you choose to say that you were engaged 2 weeks before the wedding? Maybe we will get more info from the comments?
Let's go.
At that point, wearing your rings or not wouldn't have made a difference. Everyone already knew you were married. Maybe it would have been worse because people would wonder and ask why you were not wearing rings. Yeah, I guess I could see that. Your sister is not completely at fault either. She must have been pretty hurt that her rehearsal dinner was all about you getting married. You should have thought that sending an email wouldn't stop any conversation about your surprise wedding right before your sister's. Actually, it probably did the exact opposite. I understand you're a carefree guy, but maybe you could have found a better way / time to let everyone know about your neo-marriage. And here's the important part. After reading your comments, you're the a-hole. Married for 4 months and lets just a few know right before the wedding of his sister and still doesn't see any problem with his actions.
Shame!
4 months. You were married for 4 months and then you chose to tell everyone 2 weeks before your sister's wedding?
Are you dumb?
And you also hadn't seen any of these people? Of course they were going to pay attention to you and not your sister. Well, I mean, they shouldn't. Let me be clear that also the family who didn't pay attention to the sister on her wedding day are also a-holes. The question that you ask is, are you an a-hole for wearing your wedding ring? You're not, but that's not the right question. The question you should ask is, am I the a-hole for not telling my family that I was engaged and waiting until 2 weeks before my sister's wedding to tell them? Funny how you left that little tidbit out, eh? On the same note, he could have easily not worn the rings and announced afterwards 3 months later, and I don't buy this one-track mind crap. He's an a-hole because he couldn't be bothered to see her side. Taking the rings off wouldn't mean they were divorced. If he didn't want the attention like he claims, he would have done it. See, it kind of reminds me of the other story that we were talking about on this channel a little while ago where the sister got upset that she was engaged and had a bigger ring, etc., etc. But I think that this might be different because everybody knew they were already engaged. Am I crazy, or should people be freely allowed to wear rings of their choice on their own body without being criticized for it? Again, it's not about the rings. It's about not telling your family until 2 weeks before your sister's wedding and then expecting that to be like, oh, just so you know, we're engaged, blah, blah, blah. Don't put any attention on us. Of course attention's gonna be on you.
You kind of stole my thunder.
It's not about the bloody rings. It's about what they stand for, his marriage, and how he happened to announce it 2 weeks before his sister's marriage, where he effectively stole her thunder from his sister's big day when he had 3 to 4 whole months of marriage to announce it to his close family. Or he could have held off telling anyone until after the wedding if he really didn't want to steal the thunder or have the spotlight on him so much. You're not the a-hole for wearing your wedding ring, but you are an a-hole for telling your family 2 weeks before your sister's wedding and stealing her thunder.